Hello, welcome to the November Design Chat.
Yeah, hi all. It's November. We were just dealing with some fun HVAC loudness issues in the basement.
Yeah, some very November problems.
Yeah. So.
Usually in the summer when the air conditioning's on, we hear it up here, which means the mics don't really pick it up.
Yes.
But there's like a giant exhaust just right next to it.
New problems with the seasons always, like anything, so.
Yes. No, everything's good. Everything's good. Good to see you all in chat.
Yes.
Let's see. This is so it's the November chat, and this is the chat kind of right before we get really busy with like the last set of travel for the season.
Yeah. It's like the big one before we all leave, before we go to do all of our paxing, before all the holidays and stuff.
If the holiday season's like a completely no-go, nothing can get done.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, no, I mean, we're getting ready for PAX, we're getting ready for the upcoming Backerkit campaign. Arks is wrapping up its thing. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts right now, but
so it's so we have lots to talk about. But first, Nick, what have you been playing? What are you thinking about?
I went to the mall this weekend and I bought way too much stuff, and that involved going to Games by James, and I bought Mists Over Carcassonne and Sky Team, and I got to play Sky Team.
Okay,
it's really cool. No, nothing new here. I know reporting on the game, but no, it's really clever. We played the. It has like a teaching scenario that you play to like land the plane the first time, and then after you land the plane, they give you like, okay, now you can fly Now you can fly to Denmark. Now you can fly to these, and you have to now you have to care about like turning the plane at certain times and whatnot. But it's really neat. It's a really cool like 2-player puzzle. I think the nice thing is how short it is too. It's like 30 minutes once you know how to play, like 20 minutes. Yeah. So it's really snappy. Setup is like pulling out 2 components. I think there should be more 2-player. Co-op games. That was kind of my review of it. Like it being exclusively
and like kind of snappy 2-player games.
Yeah, it does a lot because it is just like action. I mean, it reminded me a ton of Ahoy, frankly.
Sure.
With the dice placement limitation, and similarly just the pace of like, you think for a little bit, but it's like one action, go ahead, one action, go ahead. And in that same way it does. I'm always skeptical when they have the thing where it's like you can't talk during the action phase, and I always worry a little bit about those, but it does. The way the dice are used to kind of like the mind or whatnot, almost like how you use the dice to maybe project how you are feeling. Right. It's like, okay, well, Cole's putting his 6 out right away. Like Cole's the type of guy who puts that out when he like rolls really high. You know what I mean? So you're like trying to leak information almost to your opponent about what your remaining pool is, like by showing them one die at a time, because you don't see what the other person rolls.
Right.
But yeah, no, really good game. Would recommend.
Yeah. And then what about? Wait, I have a question though. Mists Over Carcassonne. What's special about it?
It's the co-op version.
Oh,
yeah. I'm really excited about it actually, because I'm a Carcassonne. I like Carcassonne.
I love Carcassonne.
Yeah. I know some people. Again, it's pretty basic, but like for me, it's like a Zen game. Like how some people like Ticket to Ride is kind of that way, where I'm like, Carcassonne, draw one tile, place the tile. Like games almost don't get better than that, in my opinion.
It's like Carc. I remember it was on some list of like best games of 2003 or something. And I remember I went to a game store and got it because I was like, this castle on the box. People say it's really good. And then we sat down and we're like, so we don't like fight in this game? And I remember being like a high school student being so disappointed in it. And then later on, I played it so much with my partner where we would both be on lunch break at this job we had.
Sure.
And we just knock it out twice, 3 times. Great. Yeah. Fantastic game.
Yeah, so the co-op one adds like ghosts, and you like are night watch people, and you have to like go out and remove the ghosts for points and stuff. I haven't played it yet, but Carcassonne can get kind of mean, so it can be pretty brutal, so I'm interested to play the co-op one just because
it's all mean.
Yeah.
So I've been playing in digital space. I've been playing the Final Fantasy games.
Oh, sure.
Which has been interesting. I mean, what happened is they came out on Switch.
Okay.
And so I thought,
now's your time.
It's like easy.
Sure.
And none of them are perfect, but it's amazing how well they've aged.
Sure.
Like I'm just very impressed by how fast they are. And, it's sort of like when you boot up like the first Mario game, by which I mean Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
It's always shocking, like just how quickly it like all concepts introduced. You're playing instantly. And in the RPG space, that does not happen. Usually when you boot up an old RPG, it's like, cool, this is going to take like 15 hours.
It's going to take maybe a couple hours before you get a party member, right?
Like
literally,
exactly.
And you might be alone.
I was surprised, like I'm about done with Final Fantasy IV right now, just how fast the plot is. And it's not an amazing game,
right.
but it moves at a really good clip, and it like presents, I mean, so for example, you start this game, and you have an ability that just called darkness, because you're a dark knight.
Sure.
And it just damages all the enemies. And you might ask yourself, like, well, this seems really dumb because my character's just always going to do the obvious move.
Sure.
But then later, spoiler for a game that came out in like 1991, your guy becomes a white knight and loses that ability.
Sure.
Which is a way of saying like, hey, training wheels, they're going to start coming off.
Sure.
And you run into fun dungeons where they're like, oh, this dungeon has like a magnetic aura, so you can't use any metal equipment.
Okay.
If your characters are wearing anything that's made out of metal, they're paralyzed.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so you have to like, okay, how do I figure out how to get through this?
They're like force
like,
change builds.
So like it turns your warriors into tanks, but not damage strikers.
Sure.
And anyway,
that's neat.
It's surprisingly robust. I'm enjoying those, and I picked up the new Star Ocean game, which is really a remaster of the PlayStation game. So I've been playing older JRPGs and thinking through them. And then in board games, I just got back from San Diego History Con.
Yep.
It's called SD HistCon.
Yes.
I don't know if that is an abbreviation or not.
Okay.
And I've been going to it for years.
Yeah.
And this is a very weird special show. It's not. It's weird. Like anybody can come, but it tends to sell out in the first couple days. It's only about 300 people, and a huge chunk of those people work in historic games. So a lot of the developers at GMT and people doing games for Fort Circle and Revolution Games, and a lot of game companies working in historical games are present, and it is just a fantastic show to like watch a new game being demoed and then like walk down the street and get coffee with some people who are also designing, kind of share notes. And I played like a ton of great stuff. I played this Dan Bullock game that's been in development for a long time called Blood and Treasure, about being a military contractor in Afghanistan. And all you're trying to do is like, I want to like be in charge of stocking the vending machines. Or I want to be like, I'll help build this road. And then depending on the projects you're doing and how fast you're completing them, conditions on the ground may move one way or another. But it's a fantastic game. It's really, really smartly designed. I watched a storytelling game about John Brown and like the Ray on Harper's Ferry, which was awesome. And I don't know.
What was your favorite setting that you saw? Like your favorite historical theme? Like that you were like, that's cool that somebody's doing.
So I got to meet Matthias Kramer, who designed Watergate.
Yes, good game.
And he's working. Yeah, it's a good game. And I've also been playing The Hunt.
Oh yeah, the kind of battleship, not battleship.
Yeah, well, a little
battleship.
What to me is so amazing about Kramer's design practice is like you play Watergate, and it's not only good, you could imagine doing like 6 games exactly like it with a different theme.
Yeah.
And The Hunt, which is also in a small box and is also a 2-player game, is completely different.
Oh sure.
And so you're like, wow, you're showing some range.
Cutting some new ground. Yeah, that's cool.
And so I really enjoyed The Hunt, and then I watched him demo his new game called The Promised Land, which is about Israel.
Sure.
And it's kind of amazing, and it covers like Israel from like 1960 to like 1980. And so it oscillates between periods of hot and cold wars.
Sure.
And it was just a really fascinating treatment of extremely timely subject, but was being handled in ways that felt like they were explaining things. You ever wondered why the Golan Heights is important? Like this game's going to kind of show you why it's important. And the last one I saw is I got to watch a demo for Liz Davidson's and David Thompson. So David Thompson from Undaunted.
Yep.
So we're going to give Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire. We're going to give called Night Witches. Yep. Which is about women bombers in World War II, like running these like scrappy raids on German positions. Cool. And it's a fascinating game, and it's fascinating. Well, the theme's very interesting, but actually the format is my favorite part about it, because the individual bombing runs are resolved very quickly. Maybe they take a couple minutes. Sure. But you've got a little calendar that like, okay, you get back home. How much time do you want to spend like reloading your plane? Do you just want to get some more fuel and go back out there? Sure. You play like a number of bombing.
There's like this scheduling element. Sure.
And then you carry through your character to like the next scenario. Okay. So it's like, I looked at it and thought, oh, it's Undaunted Stalingrad light. Sure. It's like taking that like light campaign framework and then moving it like even lighter, but it's a 2-player co-op.
Yeah, it seems neat because it's like taking the focus also away from the like full command thing to the like individual. It sounds like more, which is that's a neat angle for that.
So it was good, all really good games, and then I got to play a lot of Arks. And so
the most historical game.
The most historical game, and there were some
because people don't know. It's actually it's a long time ago situation.
Exactly,
that's what most people don't know.
Exactly, yeah, it's a faraway galaxy, very long time ago.
Yeah.
But I got to play a bunch of Arks, and at this show, every game was like filled with like some of my like favorite designers who were like playing the game.
That's cool.
And so it was fun to like see them react.
Yeah.
And generally people really liked it. But I got to show off the new PPC.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Which we'll be showing you all kind of soon.
Very cool.
Not quite yet. Yeah, so these are good. The weather's turning, and I can feel the board game season like a big coat. Like
I think. I mean, that's like I bought 2 co-op games over the weekend. Like there's clearly something going on. That's cool. That's very cool. What do you rather? What am I going to say? Oh yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Oh, I think I met this person. So there was lots of really rush. Okay, so. First, let's do general studio chat.
Sure.
What's going on, and then we'll talk in detail about some of the Arks stuff.
Sure.
So first, Nick, tell me about Ahoy.
Ahoy. If you're first, I'd say if you're looking for even more information, the last design stream.
We're not gonna do it again.
I'm not going to do that whole thing again. I go through all the factions. We talk about everything a little bit there, and there's also a few design diaries on BGG right now. If you look up Ahoy New Horizons on Board Game Geek, you'll find it there. There's going to be a 3rd diary getting posted later today. But the short of it is we're doing an expansion for Ahoy still. It is next week.
It's next week.
On Backerkit. And it's 4 new factions, an opportunity to get the base game as well if you want that, and some deluxe components. Also, we're going to be doing gold coins. And then I'm still...
They look really good.
The gold coin render is awesome.
They look really nice.
Yeah, they look sweet. And I'm hoping to... I'm still kind of vetting out what some of that, like... I have some new ideas for how to do potential like exploration-based expansion content. New tiles and things like that have always been... there's a lot of tricky reasons, both on the rules and the production side, why doing different tiles... It messes with the math, it does a lot of stuff, but I had some new ideas this weekend about how to potentially approach it.
That's pretty exciting.
So I'm curious to try to see what kind of small expansion that would be. That would be weather, cursed items, those things. I'm finding I think I have another approach for that. But testing's been going really good. I have all the factions in testing. They're going to be available during the campaign to play as well. We'll have them on TTS. I'll probably do a print and play as well. So you guys will get to see all this stuff in like 2 weeks.
I can't wait. And like the coins do something that I always want to see more coins do, which is they're little squash and balls.
Yes,
like they were actually stamped.
They have like the hand stamped style.
So like they use the edge work really well. Which is fun. It was great. I took an Ahoy kit with the new factions to HistCon, also a historical game.
Yeah, also a historical game.
Totally historical, and it was just fun to like show them and see people react to like how much content there was.
Sure.
And it just totally transforms. For me, it's changing how I think about the base game completely, because there's just so much game when you can start subbing out one of the factions.
I think it'll make people realize how much certain parts of the base game matter so much. Almost even like the map dynamics and the way that players decide to build it out early is just like multiplied almost by all the expansion content. I'm really excited for people to get to play it, because I also think Ahoy is it's sometimes a difficult game to articulate the nuances of position and whatnot. And I think that especially the latest ones are so tactical, I think, like position oriented, that it really, once you start playing them, you can feel how much it matters where you're leaving pieces on the table, what you're setting up for the future.
And it's, I'll say too, it's exciting. I love the run up to a campaign because the studio is very busy, and like I came in this morning and I looked over on the wall and you had the entire campaign page pinned up. People are writing comments in it, but it is such making a campaign is almost like making a very small game.
Yes.
And so all of the the graphic design and the kind of testing that we do on games, we get to kind of take it for a trial. Yeah, no,
it's exciting to be in this. It is weird. Like I'm missing like the cooldown from Arks, because I was like off of Arks before it was done, because it's still not done yet, of course. And then and I'm like now doing this one again. I'm like, oh boy, I'm seeing you guys finishing Arks, and I'm like, wait, I'm not done yet. It's like a funny weird.
No, it is this thing where I told someone in passing maybe I won't like come to work in December. Like I'm
right.
And they were like, well, like we'll have Ahoy run. There's all these other things that are going to be going on. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course.
But they're kind of running also at the same time.
I'm like, can I go to sleep? It is this funny thing about having multiple teams where like we're always trying to experiment with having 2 or 3 projects working simultaneously. Yeah. But you and I were both at the company at a time when that wasn't true.
Correct. Yeah.
And every once in a while, you and I think both of us will pine for the moments of like, wouldn't it be nice if we were all on the exact
same boat. Same page.
Yeah. I'm so excited. So it launches next Tuesday on Backerkit.
Yes.
If you would like to sign up for it, there will be a link in chat, I'm quite sure. And I mean, you will find out about it. If you found your way to this stream,
surely
the same way you found your way here, you will find your way to the Ahoy campaign. I am pumped. Have you decided the order that you're going to release the factions in?
I think it's going to be the 2 2-player ones, the Blackfish Brigade and the Mollusk Union, and then the remaining, the Leviathan and the Coral Cap.
I think my one thought when I was teaching the game is I wish I would have just done the new blue-yellow with, like, even just with the Smuggler.
Sure.
As a start to be like, hey, we're back playing Ahoy, here's some new stuff. Yeah. Because the 2 new factions are the Serpent and the Coral Cap Pirates are a scream.
Yes.
But there's like so much new stuff.
I mean, it's like playing a root-based game and then being like, okay, let's play root, but with all 4 expansion factions, right? You're like, it's nearly not the same game.
Correct. Right. So you want to break it up, and one thing we're going to do with this campaign, similar to what we've done with root in the past, is there'll be a little bit of like a drip of the new content.
Correct.
So you don't get, we don't want people sitting down and being like, okay, cool, let's do the speed run through all new content. It's like, nah, it's not doing it.
Yes, favors. For sure.
Okay, cool. So then in Arks land, we're real close. So we're basically running, trying to think about what I said in October. We're very close to the schedule that was set in October. I think we're like probably 3 or 4 days behind, but that at this scale does not matter.
At this point.
At this point, I mean, it's a 3-year project. Yes, we're running a few days late. So for Arks, we have now approved basically every file for the base game, the miniatures, and the leaders and lore pack. They're all done. There's one little exception to that, which I'll talk about when I show you the PPC in a second. And then for the campaign, we are readying the final campaign files for production right now. The hope is to get them to the factory by the end of this week or like Monday next week. Once that happens, we basically start like a kitchen timer, a 2-week-long kitchen timer, really 2.5 weeks, where the factory is going to use those files to make the most accurate prototype they possibly can, and then they send it back to us for approval. Now, that means that we can still change things, and we will, mostly things relating to balance, and there are some art pieces that we're waiting on.
Sure.
But once we get that PPC in, we basically have about 3 to 5 days to submit the final files. There's a pretty good chance that all that will be fully wrapped up by Thanksgiving or earlier. So we're right on the edge. And Josh sent me a list the other day of areas he was still working on. He flagged like, hey, he's like, Caretaker Act 2 or Act 3 has this like little problem, and this plot line has this problem. And the list looks scary, and actually I think Patrick Camden said, it seemed like a long list of problems. I said, Arks has like 48 scenes. And you think about every act of every plot line. And so 4 or 6 of those 48 having like a little error is not that big of a deal. In fact, this morning we went through everything, and now we're down to like 2. And so my view about the campaign game is I'm going to try to play it 3 to 4 more times in the next 2 weeks. I think Josh wants to get about that many plays, and that's good. Speaking of travel and things like that, if you are interested in either Arks or Ahoy, come visit, and you're going to PAX Unplugged, please make sure to visit our booth. We will be showing, I believe, both there.
Yeah, I think so,
I can't recall precisely how we're going to have like.
I don't know exactly what the setup is, but
we'll be there. Actually, most of the team will be there, and you can certainly see things. If you're, I will be at BGG Con next weekend with the Arks campaign, and we'll probably try to organize a campaign or 2.
Fun.
So, play the whole campaign, and maybe we'll get some barbecue after, or in the middle, depending on how long we're going. It's going to be an interesting thing because I'm not going to be, I'm not tabling at BGG Con.
You're just going to be there.
I'm just going to be there.
Like a specter.
Yes, and in fact, I was talking about this with Drew earlier, where I said, I have no interest in teaching Arks. So at BGG Con, I am not interested in teaching it, but if there's someone who is testing Arks who wants to join our final campaigns, that would be great. Because what I'm really looking for right now are experienced players.
Yeah, it's not helpful to have. Yeah.
I taught Arks a lot this last week. Okay, so without further ado, let's do some.
Get out some printed stuff.
Get some printed stuff. Okay. So we've got all sorts of fun stuff here. Okay, so little product tour. So here we have the base game. We'll talk about this one in a second. And then the two smaller things. This is the miniatures box, and this is the Leaders in Lore pack. So this was like our freebie. I think it's gonna cost $15 or $20. And it goes, if you back the base game, you got this little guy. You got this little guy too. And then this was our miniature add-on. Now what I'll do, we'll start with the miniatures. So this is a fort-size box, by the way. And it is...
a common unit.
Yeah, correct.
Fort-size box.
It is stuffed. It's stuffed because we put all of our miniature samples in here. So it will not be actually this stuff. But I just want to show folks some of the samples that we got. Yeah, so here we go. So our factory's been really good about sampling. And so we actually went through a bunch of different washes to figure out the right wash. This is with like a lighter gray wash. We had originally done this darker wash, which I'll use the blues as an example.
Yeah, it's maybe the easier one to tell on camera.
The most even tone. So here's like the blue chip. So this is the correct wash. And here was the first wash we got, which looks okay in isolation. When you put it on the map, it was too dark.
Yeah, they added up to too much darkness.
Yeah, and so we want the wash to be accentuating details. We don't want it to be causing problems. But and here's the little Imperial ship. Here are these. One funny thing that we had not planned for is these ships. So tipping a ship for damage is pretty important in the game. These ships weirdly can be tipped in two ways. You can tip them a little, or you can do a full tip.
Sure.
And I'm going to be curious. I have played with them, but I'm going to be curious what the tipping preference is.
Sure. Where will the people land?
Yeah, where will the people land on their tipping? Yeah, there you go. So you can see all these guys. Look at that. Okay, so you get a bunch of miniatures. The minis are great, by the way. They have kind of a nice chunky appearance. They are roughly the same volume of the wood. So just a fun note on that. You can't put them both in our storage solution. You have to pick if you want the wood or you want the plastic in the box. However,
no half measures.
This leads to a pretty fun, unplanned externality, unplanned thing, which is that if you are playing a campaign game and you want to play a base game while you're playing the campaign game, you could use the wood for the base game, and then all you need to do is grab the action cards.
Sure.
Potentially, maybe not ideal. And also, if you don't sleeve cards, there's tons of room in the box.
Sure, yeah.
So I'll just mention that. Cool. So those are the minis. Really happy with how they all turned out. I think folks are really going to like them.
I mean, it's been a while since we've done minis, and it's the first time doing a wash, wash on them.
Oh yeah.
And then the wash came out awesome. I think definitely for the space game, it was the right time to bust out the space gunk and just do it up.
Just get a little dirty.
Yeah.
This is also here's a rare instance. I think this is pretty similar to the cover of the proposed miniature box.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so then we have this guy. This is the Leaders in Lore pack. This is a kind of a funny-ish product. We first experimented with things like this with the Hireling pack, so it's in the same size box. And what this does is it's mostly cards, and I'll put them on the product camera, but it adds 8 starting power cards. So these are the leaders, and I'll put them on that. There we go. You know what I need? I need one of those.
Oh yeah, little card stand.
Shame. It's a shame. It's fine.
I'll do some rifling while it's on that camera.
Yeah. Here we go. I mean, this is. I'll do one of these. Look at all these fun friends. If only we had an OG Riverfolk here, we'd be fine.
Know.
So there's 8 of these new leaders, and then in addition to the 8 new leaders, I'll just show people my favorite one because it happens to be on top. We have 14 new lore cards, all here. Whoa, there we go. This is very awkward and fine. These are all great. So the thing about this pack is, you get 8 leaders, you get 14 lore cards. Those are used to draft asymmetric factions when you play the base game, and then the lore can be used in the campaign or the base game. And it is more design content than the Exiles and Partisans deck.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, just like, yes. And so it was one of those things where someone asked me like, oh, what's in this box? Oh, it just seems like it's a few cards. And I'm like, this is like 8 factions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good.
Do you have a favorite leader currently after your weekend of playing?
After my weekend of playing, so I did not play.
Oh, you were playing
with I did play with leaders, but I played with them in the base game.
Sure. And then you were playing campaign.
My favorite one here is it's the new Revolutionary that Josh did is my favorite.
Yeah, the new cut of it,
which I think is not even called the Revolutionary anymore.
Sure.
I love the Noble though. So the Noble lets you. When you are the Noble is probably my favorite one out of this set. When you declare an ambition, it basically lets you just like top deck court cards.
Oh yeah.
So you get tons of court cards. However, when you score, you only get power if you get first place.
Sure. So you gotta be winning.
So you're proud.
Yeah,
and
you gotta.
The way the leaders are built is you like get a cool power, but there's also a drawback.
Yeah. You actually have to stay winning.
And I think one thing that we really tried to do with almost all the leaders is the powers should be like pretty easy to understand.
Sure.
Like there should be like kind of one trait.
Yeah, and then the lore pack, that's just additional lore cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the lore cards always had a funny place in the base game because we had put them in the market originally.
Yes.
But then, so what would happen is in the third act, nobody wants to buy a tech.
Sure.
Because it's the third act, you're not gonna have a time to use it. So we changed it so that when you play with like leaders and lore, as a mode, you draft them at the start of the game. And that actually allowed us to make the lore a lot weirder, and they're a little bit more like special powers.
That makes sense. Very cool.
Okay, and then here's the base game. A lot to say about this. So this is a root-sized box, and it is about as full. Do you want to go to an overhead, actually? That might be the best way to do this. Yeah, let me guess. Aha, I got it. It took me a second to realize where the overhead was. So here it is. Look, it's like it's finally arrived. You're opening it up. This box is very full, and you're gonna get. I'll just kind of go through it real fast here. You get 4 of these. These are play aids, and basically every rule that is in the game is on these aids. So like first page is general overview of how the flow of actions. Then we go, ooh. Wow.
You got it that way.
Oh wow, this is the trippiest thing.
You got it, yeah.
So this covers all the actions in the battle, and then this is scoring and things on the back. But what I usually do is I will hand these out right after I finish teaching.
Sure.
And I kind of say like, hey, if you have any questions before you ask me, and
everything I just said,
like look in here.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. All right. So now, here's the rule book. This is one of the best rule books that we've done. I just think that our big game rule books have gotten better. Like the Oath playbook is better than the Root playbook. This is better than the Oath book, or is as good. And the thing that I think that we've all learned is just to add pages if you need them.
Sure. I mean, I can't stop being,
It feels dumb, but like it used to be like, I want these rules to be 8 pages.
Yeah.
And we would be very strict about it. And actually, like when you just add pages as you need them, now it gives us more room for component spreads, lots of examples and reminders.
No, I mean I think that the thing I said the other day when I was flipping through it, I went over to Patty's office and I was like, the rule book looks so laid out. In a way that's like just it's incredibly thought out. That like we just had so much more time and experience with it to know how to do it. I think the layout of it's easily one of the best with the callouts and stuff.
Yeah, it turned out really well. I'm super happy with it. It is 24 pages, but it's a breezy 24 pages. So then we've got a 6-fold board. I'll talk about this last. Here's the punch board. The punch board, you're gonna get 4 sheets like this. They've got all the pieces on them. We keep the sprues because we might need to reference them for something later. One little note is that we're gonna be switching, this is a gloss finish. We're gonna switch the punch in the board to linen.
Oh, cool.
And it was like,
just after seeing it on.
After seeing how it like took photos, the matte linen, like the root board, it really photographs well. And for components to get like rubbed against each other a lot, it makes sense. And then here are the player boards. We've got one of these for every color. And then one of my favorite little things that we often do is let no surface go wasted. So Patty made these like custom
cool spaceship
Yeah.
things.
Player boards. And then, as you can see, like here's the bottom part of the box, and it's stuffed. You've got bags of player pieces, and we'll do some spotlights of these here. Just kind of stick them like, look at that.
Your wooden ones.
And you can see, I'll lay out a few different colors, just so you can kind of see how the different colors look together. There's blue. We had originally planned on using an off-white, and what we found was that the pure white actually just looked a lot better. It was the game was built for a pure white, but on TTS, pure white's like blinding.
Yeah.
And so we had been gradually shifting towards grays, and then we actually got the production copy. We thought, oh no,
It was a little too gray.
yeah, it was just a little too gray, and then we can put the yellow back here. But I really like how these colors work. You know, they're pretty close to primary colors, but they're just like a shade off, and so they get it something.
Yeah, it's
good.
closer to like a CMYK situation.
Yeah.
Than an RGB.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then, for some other pieces we can take a look at, here are the dice. I'm just going to kind of plop those down there. The dice turned out really well. I feel like we worked really hard to lower the number of symbols on the dice.
It took a long time.
It took a long time.
I remember those meetings.
Where it was like, we need this dice to have this particular effect. Do we need a half explosion?
No, but I'll say I think this type of combat thing will be I'll say it here. It's like, I think we're going to see this somewhere else.
Yeah, I think someone's going
to use this type of thing. I think this is just a really clean system, and it's just really usable too.
Yeah. I want to steal it.
Right? Yeah. It's one of those, like, when I'm making a prototype, I'm like, well, I could just use the Arks kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's always a good sign. Well, it was funny because when Arks started, we were essentially just using root combat.
Yeah.
And then here is the initiative marker.
Nice.
Big friend. Big thick friend, and then here is the chapter marker.
That's my favorite piece.
Well, I'll say.
In defense of the chapter marker.
The chapter marker. Trackers should often be big.
They should be thicker.
Yeah, they should be, because they're important. Like the Oath. I remember when we were working on Oath, one of the people who was at the company at the time really was like, "Why is that piece so thick?" And I'm like, "It's because it's the end of the whenever it's moved, especially in Oath, it's like a dramatic moment when the game's going on.
You don't want a little 2 centimeter, 2 millimeter thick disc."
And I adore these little wooden ships. I'll just say they're simple. It's clean. They do their job really well. One of the inherent liabilities of Arks is that pieces have to have a state.
Yep.
But then you move them around the board and you're like, dang it, like how many were damaged?
Yep.
It ends up thankfully just not being that big of an issue.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, my hope is that it's worth the trouble, right?
Right, yeah. That's why we want damaged pieces.
And then, we've got a bunch of miscellaneous punch board here. I'll take out some of the resources just so you can get a sense of like, this is what we're doing here is like, it's like a colorway. It's like, look at all these lovely colors.
Kyle spends a lot so getting all those colors matching up.
Right. And these pieces, the resource tokens, which are designed to fit on the player boards, like so. Whoop. Oh, that was good. They go right here. Dude. Perfect. And the buildings also go on those,
triangle slots.
Right, like that. Whoop. These are bigger than a quarter. So they're bigger. It's like the Oath coins and the Ahoy coins, I think, are the same size. They're like an inch.
The Ahoy coins, because I know I was just doing it, are 28 millimeters across.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the same as this then, maybe?
Oh, we have some sitting right here.
Oh my gosh! All right.
So the people can't see on camera. They're small.
Oh yeah. So these are a little bit.
They're bigger.
These are probably like 32.
These are probably 30 or 32 then.
But we wanted them to be big because it's another issue of like they're important.
Yeah, they're the closest thing to money in the game that you have. In that way, it's an incredibly important resource. Yeah.
Well, and I think when we're doing the overall like aesthetic design of a project, it's important to make the important stuff large.
Yes.
It's like it seems like kind of a dumb thing to say, but I'm always surprised when a piece is like a little too small.
Yep. Yeah.
So then we can actually let's just push all these things forward.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Well, I don't know. I'll clean it later.
We'll see what the camera grabs.
I'll clean it later. So then we have a bunch of cards, right? So here are all the action cards in the game.
Cards.
Looking good. Can you do the magic trick?
Oh, sure. I got it. I can do it.
Yeah, to give some nice.
Oh, wait, hold on. No, I can't. Oh, no, we needed the air cushion technology. No, he's not going to be able to do it good enough. No.
Anyway, they're great.
Yeah, they're nice.
The cards turned out super well. These will not get a linen finish. we're keeping them semi-gloss, just like the Oath cards, and Premier is like that too. And that's because I feel like that linen cards, sometimes they shuffle weird.
Yep.
And also, if you have a lot of like fine line work, I think that they can be a little irritating.
Well, and these, I also think about sometimes our games in terms of like types of games, and you handle these more than you handle your pieces in the game almost, right? Like the cards are as handled as fork cards or something, right? They're the whole thing.
When I'm dealing with linen finish questions, often we have, if linen finish is touching a lot of pieces, it can withstand them better. It's a coat of protection. Whereas cards will get dirty if they're linen finished because the oils and stuff kind of fill the card. Actually, these cards are actually linen finished, but it was because the factory was like, we want you to see like how a linen finish looks. So then we also have a big brick of other cards, which I'll toss a few down here. Here's Galactic Rifles. Looking fine. One of the best. That card's just stayed hilarious and good throughout all of development. But yeah, lots of fun. These are all lore cards. These are places where we Kyle took a full bleed and uses it really well. I think there's some really fun designs in here. And then got all those. There's a big stack of market cards. Here's a good one. Spotlight the Lattice Spies. This is a good card for seasoning the initiative. Really happy with, again, like how all the colors came out and the general layout looks really nice. This layout, I think we spent the Oath layouts took a long time, but we also spent a lot of time iterating, and Patty spent a lot of time getting the colors right. For instance, like this, I'll just hold it up here. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So getting the right gold for this border was surprisingly time intensive because if it was too bright, it started distracting from the art, and we needed to like make sure that the icon that you can see in the top left like could pop enough away.
Yeah, I think like I think like it was the most new ground that we had to cut aesthetically. I think that's probably why it was so difficult. Because even though Root doesn't like look like Vast, they both like exist in the world of like papers and inks and whatnot. And then you go over to Oath and it's the same way. It exists in the world of paper textures, inks, textures, like these things. And it was like Arks had a long time where it was just Patty and you working hard to figure out like what do we want this actually to look like.
And what we found was like people get as angry about sci-fi like aesthetics as they do about I don't know, like the Year of the Jedi Order
or something.
Like, people care so much about how science fiction games look, and what we realize it's because it's incredibly doctrinaire. Like in fantasy settings, people get like, oh, this is low fantasy, this is high fantasy, this is like a little steampunky. And in sci-fi, it's like, nope, it should look like a digital display.
Just kind of like
pops. There's a way to look at it. So just, Kyle and I kept thinking about like, and Patty too, thinking about what does it mean to like have a drawn galaxy?
Space.
Because
that
UI, that like kind of semi-transparent UI, as if it were like a Star Trek UI, does not look good with Kyle's art.
Yeah, it's just like it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't vibe with like the way our stuff looks.
Yeah, it looks like you're in a museum looking at Kyle's art, as opposed to being in the same world. And then the last thing I'll mention about the base set is you also get these 8 liters, which we don't need to put on the small camera or anything. But just know there's even more. There's also
liters there.
There's also liters here. So just a ton of stuff in this box. What else do I want to say about it? So. Didn't show you the board yet. So here's the box top, and then I will show you the board, and then I'll show you the work that we've been doing. So I mentioned there was one small element that we have not, oh boy, we'll see how this works. All right, no longer allowed to use that camera.
See how far it gets.
So there's one small element that we're still working on, and that's the map. Thank you. So here's the map mostly. And let me. Oh my gosh.
Go with your heart.
Oh, I see.
It's been flipped.
It's been flipped. Excellent. Okay, this is good now. Okay, so here's the map. And if we dumped all the pieces in it, like the colors are designed to like sit pretty. Oh my gosh, there we go. Beautiful. This is perfect. The colors are all designed, and I'll even just grab some here, to like sit pretty well on top of this board and like kind of stick off of it in their color. So it's really easy to see like, this is an active playing piece, this is a part of the board. Really happy with this new layout, but there were two problems with the board when we printed it. One is it printed too dark. So we have like all this texture element here that is like totally getting
That
lost.
was just, getting...
And then there were places where like the color behind the planets is just like getting completely like blown out and muted.
Yeah, unless you get really close, you can, tell it's there.
So what we did, I'm gonna scoot all this over here.
Ooh.
All right, is we, or I shouldn't say we, I should say Patty, worked on the map here.
Did some color correcting.
And did some color correction. So these are just, this is a sample that we printed. Oh boy, it's all just glare. Let's actually go to the direct camera. So like here, well, actually, no, this is perfect. I'm gonna manipulate it. So this is the as printed by the factory version. You can see it's very dark.
Yep.
And then over here, sorry, Nick.
No, you're good. I'm helping you block the light.
And so here is the version with the levels like properly boosted. You can see
all those great characters.
Yeah, you see the great characters, all that stuff. And then we also applied that to the box top itself. So for instance, here we have the box top. And this was a pretty early asset. I mean, this was done right before the campaign launched. And over the course of all of the production of the game, the art got brighter.
Yeah. Things got shinier, is what I said. Whenever I looked at it, I was like, it looks like it got like a little bit of a spit shine.
Yeah, And then so Kyle, what he did, is he made a shiny, and this is extra shiny
because of the glare.
But here's the like actual, there we go. The actual version of the cover that will be.
And the colors just pop so much.
It's just, it looks great.
Really just like jumps out against the black in a way that I think is.
So it's funny, like, it is in some, you can come to the direct camera, is Arks done? Not quite, but like this is the stuff that we're doing. It's like very small little material adjustments. In the campaign game, we are working on the very final set of like plotline balances, and then also like laying out the last assets. Like I walked in and I saw that this was sitting on the table.
The final cover.
This is the final cover. Our Kickstarter backers.
That one's pretty much done too.
But what this is like this is the campaign box. The campaign box is actually going to be just a little bit thicker than this, just like maybe a centimeter or so. But Patty wanted to she asked like, how big should the title card be?
I was blocking it out with.
And then so Kyle has some rough sketches with all that stuff that we will probably show. I would guess like next month we'll probably show the final campaign cover. Anyway, so that's it. Arc stuff. In short, we are in the last few weeks when we do our December design chat. We'll probably have like we won't have a manufacturing copy yet, but
not on PC.
Actually, the December design chat, there may not be any Arks to talk about. We might say Arks is done.
It's at the factory.
It's at the factory, and when we get
we wait.
When we get a proof copy in a month or two, we'll show it to you.
Yeah.
But it's all coming along.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So any last little questions?
Yeah, questions, thoughts, anything.
I've unfortunately not been paying attention to comments because we're reflecting the sun back at each other. Ooh, Arks Teach Stream is a great question. So we have a QR code on the back of here that doesn't go anywhere. In fact, I probably shouldn't. I don't know if it does anything. Don't steal our QR code,
please.
We will be doing a teaching stream. I can't remember who we have signed up for. Not a teaching stream. We'll have teaching videos for Arks, and then when we get the proof copies, we'll probably run some Arks games. And I would like to start this winter doing more live streams. I think the studio will be a little less busy.
Yeah.
And we'll have Arks manufacturing copies that we can live stream. Ahoy will be pretty far along, so we can do live streams with Ahoy. And we've got some other projects that we can show you.
I have some ideas of I think there's some cool ways to handle Arks streams and fan with the plot line choices and stuff. I think there's a lot of cool potential there.
Yeah, well, and just having, one thing that we've experimented a little bit with doing is just having some of the game assets in a way that we can have heads-up displays and little character. We can display characters next to people's names.
Right, things like that. Yep.
Fun stuff. We will probably get in contact with other content creators and have sponsored.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be.
The campaign box has space for future expansions. Absolutely, it has space for what I'm imagining to be 1 to 2 future campaign things. If you sleeve your copy, it will not be able to probably hold everything forever, but the additional boxes will hold it. That's our current plan. But we definitely built that box so there's room to grow inside it. And then this is a good question to end on. Someone asked about official scenarios.
Oh, sure.
So I posted some scenarios that Andrea and I had made a couple weeks ago, and they were just sort of like testing things. Where I'm like, I kind of need to see these 3 factions in interaction.
Yeah.
Here's like an example.
Yep.
And then people have really enjoyed playing them.
Sure.
So I think there is a world where we might design some little Ark scenarios.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
That you can pretty
Just like guided setups.
Yeah, just guided setups,
yeah.
but they allow you to play single act campaigns because you're like, hey, just play Act 3.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sure.
Yeah, and weirdly, I mean, that was a feature that we were going to put in Arks a long time ago, and there was just not enough time to actually build it as a real feature in the game.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
maybe.
Cool.
All right, well, thank you all for the lovely questions, and it's good to see you all. We will be back probably the 2nd or 3rd week of December because of Unplugged.
Yes.
So I have no idea when the Unplugged live stream, or when the December live stream will be.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
I know I'll be surprised if it's on No, we're fine.
I'll be streaming some type of Ahoy stuff at some point in November and early December.
Sure.
So stick around for that, obviously.
Yeah, it's time to get real piratey.
Yeah. If we're not gonna be talking about Arks, it's gonna be talking about Ahoy. It's pretty much the.
I'm pumped. And then and then when we get into the winter, there'll be more Ahoy stuff, and then also we'll start talking about New Oath and stuff Patrick's
all the other stuff,
on, and all the other stuff. The studio is abuzz right now. All right, well, thank you all for spending some of your Tuesday afternoon, and we will see you all next month.
Bye.
Or in a few weeks.
Yep.